What's more embarrassing than realizing somebody was not waving at you? Responding to someone talking into their Bluetooth. Oh my god, I remember one time my so was asking questions and I keep on responding in my normal tone for like a minute, until he gestures he's on the phone while wearing his Bluetooth earphones. That realization shut me the FCK up from embarrassment. I'm getting an earpiece so I can talk to myself out loud without worry. Kicking the toilet door wide open just to find someone inside. Feel like that's worse for the poor guy with his pants around his ankles doing the deer in the headlights stare into the void left by the gaping door. When I was 12, I was walking to my parents' car after school. Sat down in the back, turned around, and realized I was just in some random family's car. I did this. Hopped in the front passenger seat. And the driver was definitively not my mother. Luckily I was young enough for her to just laugh it off and not bear mace me. Going up to someone who you think is your friend and hugging them from behind only for them to turn around and realize it is not them is your. Bonus points if you thinks it is your spouse and turn them around for a kiss. Done in kitchen to mother-in-law. Was naked. Had boner. Told her it was her fault for wearing my wife's robe. Totally dodged a bullet. Showing up to a Halloween party with people you barely know in full costume. Green face paint and all. Only to find out you weren't supposed to dress up. Seriously. WHOTF arranges a costume-less Halloween party. Lol, that sounds like Mean Girls. Spilling a hot drink on someone in line at the local Starbucks. Causing them to drop their iPhone 6s. Which in turn shatters their screen. Are suspiciously specific. Introducing your girlfriend to one of your relatives. But in the awkwardness you forgot both your girlfriend and your relative's name. I pretty much said, "Hey, Mel, Annie. This is Cassandra." Straight up as if I was asking them if that's what their names were. Also, doing self-checkout at a grocery store. And you try to be sly and quick. And you end up dropping the little container of blueberries. It falls from just high enough for it to open and all the blueberries roll out on the floor in front of you. A few people notice and are staring. And now you're like, fuck. Do I clean it in front of everyone? Do I try hurting them? But what if I accidentally step on a few and it makes a mess? Do I call for help like some idiot? If I bend over, is my crack showing? Quote. One time I was working self-checkout and saw someone drop their blueberries. We didn't care. I just called someone to come clean it up and told a bagger to go get a replacement. Fat fingering your PIN number and having to restart the whole transaction at the gas station when there's a line behind you. Confidently calling someone by the wrong name. I hated becoming acquainted with someone and forgetting to ask for a name. And by the time a month or so has passed, it's too embarrassing for me to ask. Simply ask, "What's your name again?" and when they give you a weird look and say their first name, say, "No, your last name." Now you know their first name. Realizing that the person was waving at you and you awkwardly moved away and made no eye contact. Talking in a group and simply getting ignored or talked over. Thinking someone knocking on your door is a burglar, but it's your friends showing up for a surprise party. Oh yeah, the burglars in my neighborhood always knock too. It's actually pretty common for them to knock where I am at. It's the easiest way to see if someone is home, and they usually just have some line ready if someone answers asking if a particular person lived there or some crap. Calling your teacher mom. Oh god, I did that in the first grade and I still think about it 26 years later. Talking to someone. Start having a conversation. Realize their answers don't match your questions. And find out they're on the phone. When you hear your name being called, you turn around and they tell you, not you, the other one. I have a very common name and I don't have that many friends, so this is something that happens to me a lot. Hello, common name friend. On one hand, I feel bad for you, but on the other, I am glad to hear someone else suffers through my misery. I'm going out to change my name to Oompa Loompa so that there isn't any confusion. Somebody was asking you out and you say yes only to find out they didn't actually like you and were joking. 50% more success than I've had. Laughing face. Telling a story you thought was interesting only to realize halfway through that it isn't and/or you don't really know how to end it. Asking someone if they are pregnant when they are not. Happened in front of me and I didn't know where to hide when I saw the look on the girl's face while she said no. One of the rules of achieving manhood is learning that you never comment on someone's pregnancy unless you are 100% sure they are pregnant. Like, you are looking at the ultrasound. Sure. Tripping and falling in front of a bunch of strangers. The ferry hit some bad waves as I was walking the aisle, and I landed ass first in between two opposing seat rows. 4 people staring down at me. Me barely mustering, "I'm okay." Quote, fun times. Accidentally playing music at full volume during class. Playing anything loud during class. The saying a joke once and thinking no one heard you, so you say it again and someone says, "Why'd you say the same joke twice?" Quote, or saying something but no one hears it because someone else said something else louder but it wasn't as funny or noteworthy. And now you don't know whether or not to repeat your thing. Whether it matters, whether they'll notice, or whether you care enough to do this, but then you realize you do care and you try say it but you are interrupted again. Ringing up your groceries only to have the huge screen say EBT food stamps approved or whatever it says. I am already in a shish asterisk spot. I don't need the rest of the world and cashier to see it. I'm a cashier and I also have food stamps. Due to being a cashier, even when I didn't have food stamps, I didn't care. Trust me, most cashiers aren't making bank either. Yeah, I guess it could be just my insecurity about it, but sometimes people will scoff or huff to themselves when they read it. Appreciate the feedback. If it helps, I've never looked at anyone else's screens. Pinching someone's ass that you think is your husband, but is not. Farting in public, in the middle of nightly story time at 6th grade camp, causing hysterics of over 100 girls. Then finding out 7 years later when your sister comes home from the same camp that the counselors tell that story every year. That was the night I learned it wasn't a good idea to let M go in public. One time I walked into the building of a new doctor, got onto the crowded elevator out of habit, pressed the 1 button, and had to stand there and realize that I was already on the 1st floor and walk back out of the elevator in humiliation. This is easily the best one I've read. God, I can feel how that must have felt. I once saw a guy the first knew and liked coming towards me. I panicked and couldn't decide whether to say hello or hi. I said hello. Never got over it. I had just graduated and was talking to a cute guy while drinking a soda. I was trying to be all cute and sip my straw but instead slid it right up my nose. He guffawed so loud the entire restaurant turned just as I was trying to yank the straw out of my nose. I tried to die right then and there but no luck. Spanking the wrong girl in public. Any good books in jail? Criminal Justice 101. When you think the teacher is calling on you but they're actually calling on the student behind you. You waving at someone and they don't see you. Going out in public with your fly down. People trying to hint you being confused and not realize they're hinting about that until you go to the loo and realize your fly has been down the whole time. Falling in public. Falling off a skateboard in public and yelling, "God fucking cunt," and the one family who was eating on the bench across the footpath looks at you with the most dirty look, so you just continue on, trying to talk to your crush. A tampon fell out of my bag in front of a group of people while walking into work. Male CEO handed it back to me saying, "I think you dropped something." No worries. Not every guy has an aversion to tampons, or going to buy them, monsieur. Realizing they were, but it was to get out of the way. In a restaurant, a birthday cake is headed towards you. You smirk and blush, and then the servers walk right by you. This My sister decided to shout very loudly that our food was arrived. It wasn't our food. When you are home alone on a call and the other person hangs up on you without you noticing, so you just stand there like an idiot for 5 minutes talking to yourself. Having a gynecologist who is super hot and basically the same age. This right here is why I always request female gynecologists. Stumbling for no apparent reason while walking. Double points if you're in a hallway or corridor or something. Sort of different but switched roles. My younger sister and I resemble each other a lot. She's about 3 younger than I am, monsieur, but she always was and has been a social butterfly. Me not so much. That being said, over the past few years, I've been waved at, shouted to, hugged, etc. by many strangers thinking I am my sister's. I've gotten so used to it. I just wave back, hug back and say hello to them like they're my long-lost friends. The faces these people make when they realize I am not who they thought is priceless every time. I always just laugh it off and promise to relay their greetings to the proper sister. When you try to high-five but other person doesn't pay attention. Slapping your girl's mom's ass because you thought it was her. So her mom was on the couch leaning out the living room window with her ass in the air. I walked into the room and honestly thought it was my love, so I just walked up to the mom and slapped her ass. As soon as I did, she jumped up and turned around. I said, "Oh shit, I'm sorry. I thought you were your daughter." She then laughed and said it was okay and that my love was asleep in her room, monsieur. That was really embarrassing, but my girl thought it was funny and it was obviously a mistake, so it was okay. But damn, that lady has a nice big firm ass, so it was definitely worth it. Putting your hand up for a high five and the other person doesn't see it, but a bunch of other people see your failure. When you're moving well on the couch and make a fart-like noise and you're trying to do it again, so you prove to the person you're with that it was in fact not a fart and you can't recreate that sound to save your life. When I was younger, I was once at Walmart waiting on some kid to finish playing the video game so I could try whatever game it was. He's playing forever, but eventually his dad came by and started yelling at the kid to stop playing and let's go, but the kid demands he's gonna keep playing, so the dad leaves. A little bit of time goes by and the kid leaves, so I start playing. Not long after, the dad comes back and starts yelling at me as he yanks my arm away from the controller. I pull my arm back, and as he is reaching back to grab me again, he realizes I'm not his son and just stares at me in shock. After a couple seconds of this, he just hurried off without saying a word. I imagine that shit keeps that guy up at night, but I still laugh about it with my brother, who saw it all go down. Realizing that they are not talking to you. Realizing somebody was not flirting with you. Chatting with a girl online. Get her Instagram and we decide to meet up. She asks for more recent pictures. I sent the only picture I have from the last half year. Long story. Says she can't meet up anymore and blocks me afterwards on Instagram and Tinder. Can you elaborate? Was there something wrong with the picture? This might sound like an excuse, but all I can think is that it was a bad angle. I've heard from some girls that I am pretty attractive. It's either that or she just didn't like my freckles. / maybe you just resemble her brother or her ex or something coincidental like that. Sucks when people don't let you know the reason they lost interest. Double down and go talk to the person. Triple down and insist you know them and they are being rude. Quadruple down. FaceTime a friend to get them to confirm you know the stranger. Defending your so constantly to your friends, only for that person to prove them right. My mom brought me to a barbecue with some of her coworkers. She was talking to a lady with almost exactly the same hair. I, being the 9-year-old wanting to hug my mom, run to her and gave her a hug from behind. The problem is, it wasn't my monsieur. I jumped and hugged the lady she was talking to. I was very shy at the time, so my first reaction was just to hide behind my mom and teleport myself to another dimension. When I was a kid, I went to the wrong pizza party. sat down, ate pizza, collected tokens from the mom to play games, then came back to eat more pizza, and the real party was one table over. Thank you so much for watching and have a good day.